Hi guys, I'm Nora McInerny, and this is Thanks for Asking, the call-in show where we talk about what matters to you, and also where we experience many technical difficulties because I myself am a walking technical difficulty. I have made some changes. Oops. I forgot to press start record. I've made changes today. One, that I'm recording live on a Tuesday, and two, that I switched seats. So I don't know if anybody really knows like what that means, but it's a pretty big deal for me to unplug things and then plug them back in. Things are extremely precarious right now. I have so many cords. I've almost dropped this laptop several times. I'm sitting cross-legged with a pillow and a laptop upon it, and I these are choices that I made, but I was not necessarily thinking long term, like how will I stand up? What if I need to drink something? What if I have to pee? These are all questions. Also, I'm sitting on a couch, and if you're listening to this as audio later, you're thinking, I don't care about any of this, and neither do I, but you don't realize how you sit until you're forced to witness yourself sitting. I also bought a cosmetology book from the 1960s where the first chapter is simply about how women should move through the world, and they do mean just physically move. There's instructions on how to walk, how to climb stairs, and also how to sit. And I realized I am doing it all wrong. I will not hack it as a lady in the 1960s. And if that is the route this country is going, then I will be out of luck. I'll be out of luck. So again, I set all this up myself, but the phone number is up on the screen. It's 612-568-4441. If you call and I don't answer, that's because I did it wrong. But I can always call you back because that is something that technology allows us to do. But to kick us off, I do have a text message today. I got this last night, and it reads, dramatic pause because I forgot. I all week I've been like, all week it's Tuesday. All week I've said, I'm going to drink water. I'm going to drink water. And then I realize it's the middle of the day and I've not had a sip because I don't like water. I just want to like have coffee, Diet Coke, and like maybe a smoothie. I don't want to drink water, even like sparkling water. I'm like, it's just boring. It's the most boring of the beverages. Okay, back to the text. Which, by the way, if you don't want your voice on here, you can always text. If you want your voice but you don't want to talk to me, I'm not offended. You can always leave a voicemail. So this reads, my uncle died today. It got me thinking about life and how short it is. He was a simple man who fought his fair share of demons, but he was humble and had a kind heart. It's so weird for someone to exist in the world one moment and then the next they don't. Makes me contemplate my own little existence and pushes me to live a life that I'm proud of. When I get to the end, I don't want to have any regrets. Funny that you should end your text that way because we put out a podcast episode this morning called Some Regrets because I think that the pressure to have absolutely no regrets is not going to be helpful in the long run. I think there has to be some happy medium between trying to run through the world only making good choices and the opposite, which is me, which is rumination and obsession over the mistakes that you made. But to live a life with no regrets is to not live a life because we are here for the first time. Humans are dumb, all of us. Like my friend Kate Baer, an amazing poet, said, I'm not an old soul. I'm a very young, very stupid soul. And I felt that resonated with me because I too feel like I am a dumb little baby soul. And I think that I do believe in reincarnation. I think that we come around a lot, but we don't come around as the same person twice. So every time we are an amateur again, every time we have things to learn, and we learn on each other and we learn on the world around us, and we do make mistakes. We do the wrong thing or we don't do anything at all, and that's its own a kind of regret, or we say the wrong thing, or we don't say anything at all, and to take a little bit of pressure off of you, because I know that the death of somebody that we love is a catalyst for an examined life. Take a little pressure off yourself. You are allowed to live a life with some regrets. I think that is healthy. And what kind of pressure exists around us is to have a life that looks perfect from the outside, when most of us are really only going to be satisfied when we have a life that feels good on the inside. And that doesn't mean a perfect life. Your uncle was a person, sounds like a complicated person, which aren't we all? But if there is a better legacy than to be remembered as a kind-hearted, humble person who fought his fair share of demons, I don't know what it is. I think that's what life is all about. Life is for living, and that does not mean perfection. But I myself am also coming off of a funeral. Rest in peace, my Aunt Lou, who was 96 years old. And I love going to a funeral for a lot of reasons. I love rituals, but I also think people are at their best at a funeral. Like, we're all in kind of this space. Like, it really does dial you into what matters. And very few of us can live with this level of awareness constantly. But when we have it, when we have this kind of perspective that you have right now, and only because your uncle died, it's so valuable. It's so valuable. So alongside the pain, alongside the grief, like, try to hold on to that perspective that life is short. It is short. And, we want to live a life that we're proud of. Try to hold on to that feeling as long as you can. And thank you for sending a text. All right, we have another one. Here we go. We're very text heavy today. I'm not mad at it. I think it's great. That's what I asked for, and that's what I shall get. Okay. For context, I'm 39 years old, grew up in rural Wisconsin, and started working legally, parentheses legally. Okay. You know what? I know I had to say that. Legally when I was 15. A lot of us were working extra legally outside of the legal bounds before we were 15. Okay, a lot of us were. Okay, so I've been working since I was 15 legally, never been fired before. This past November, I was laid off and found a new job after a month and a half. Then 3 weeks into that job, I was let go. I am struggling with being laid off twice within 3 months and then not finding any quality work. Of course you are. Of course you are. That's extremely disorienting, even though layoffs are not personal. Even being fired is not personal. There's nothing personal about a business relationship aside from the fact that we are people. And when you care about people, yes, you will take it personally. I've never fully understood the concept that, you have to like check that at the door and like it's just business, because I guess, sure, it's just business, but businesses are run by people until private equity gets rid of all of that and we're just run by a bunch of AI chatbots. And like, what are we going to do? I'm not going to spiral. Not today, not on this text message, because this is about you. This is not about me and my anxieties. I think anyone would be struggling with that, with getting laid off within 3 months, not finding any quality work. I'm getting to the point of applying for a grocery store job just so it's something. Any tips, a pep talk? It's been quite alarming realizing how much of my personal value I associate with working. Every job, any job is a good job. My father instilled this in me when I was young. There is dignity in all work. You never judge somebody for what they do for a living. As he put it, the world needs ditch diggers too. And the pep talk that I can give you is that none of this is a reflection of your worth, but I understand why it feels that way. And it feels that way because America values a winner. We value a winner. We value rugged individualism, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, not understanding that this is not a culture that is built to help people thrive. Any work, grocery store, deli counter, those are 2 places in the grocery store, working at the grocery store, driving a cab, working at McDonald's. I don't care what you do. Your job should provide you with the dignity of sustaining a life. You should be able to pay rent, have your needs met, have extra income to spend as you want. That is what is good for an economy. That is what is good for a country. That is what is good for people's souls. It is not good for the economy that people are working so many low-paying jobs without benefits. I have a person that I love very deeply who is in a management position, right? They're the manager. They're the manager of a coffee shop. It's a chain of coffee shops. They're very young. They get paid, I think, $15 an hour. They're a manager who works, wouldn't you know, 36 hours a week. 36 hours a week. Why could that be? Oh, because they don't want to pay you benefits. They don't want to pay you like you're a full-time employee, so they'll make sure that they can basically just get as much out of you as possible while giving you as little as possible. This game is rigged to benefit very few of us, and it's not me and it's not you. There's nothing wrong with working at the grocery store, and there's nothing wrong with having your feelings be hurt, having your sense of self be shaken by the fact that 2 companies did a round of layoffs at the most inopportune time, and you went through 2 traumatic experiences in the span of 3 months. Moving, someone dying, a divorce, and losing your job. Those are, I think, 4 of the biggest stressors in a person's life, and you did 2 back to back. That is a lot. And I don't, pretend to know your financial situation, but I do know that most Americans don't have $400 in case of an emergency. And I do know from my own experience that emergencies tend to cost more than $400. This is an exhausting way to live. And the faster that all of us, political rant, the faster that all of us can focus our energy not on worrying about who's getting what down here at the bottom. We are all at the bottom. And not worrying about you voted for who, or you believe this, whatever. Focus our attention much, much, much higher on a class of people, a minority class of people who are draining our country and our world of resources for their own benefit and the benefit of literally nobody else, the better. This is not a you problem. This is a cultural problem. And I'm sorry you were caught in the crosshairs, but I promise you, you are not a loser. You are not a loser. The only person that I think of as a true loser is a person who has $1 billion and does not wake up every day and say, time to fill these bags with money and go around handing them out to people. Time to go to the bank and pay off every mortgage. Time to, call up every, medical debt company and cancel all that medical debt. I think that there are so many billionaires who are abject losers. What a lack of imagination. There is no reason why some people should have billions of dollars. They are not that smart. They did not work that hard. I'm sorry. No one works that hard. No one. They've got soft hands. They have low bone density, I'm going to guess. There's no reason why some people should have so much and the rest of us are barely keeping our mouths above water. It's psychopathic. It's truly inhumane and anti-human. And I'm on your side. You're not a loser. I promise. You didn't say loser, but I can tell. You were like, oh God, should I apply to a grocery store? Yeah, apply to any job. Any job, anything that pays you is a good job. It doesn't have to be forever, but that is where you are now. And that's okay. All right. Shout out to my friend Pete for being in the comments. Thank you, Pete. I love Pete. And Pete, I miss you. I just want you to come over. Okay. Okay. This is amazing. I got we're going to switch gears hard here because I got this text that I am very, very excited about because okay. Here we go. Hi, Nora. My name is Gretchen. I just finished watching the Ruby Frankie documentary about 10 minutes ago and saw your post. Wild. I'm going to tell her to call me. Okay. One thing that stood out to me from the last episode is how Kevin Franke referred to what happened to those children. The fact that he said those children and not my children. I also watched Scamanda. I enjoyed the podcast more, but felt like they did a good job with the series. And I liked some of the updates that were in the show that took place after the podcast. Haven't watched Apple Cider Vinegar yet. Guess that should be next on my list. It should be. It should be. All three of these things are connected. These are Apple Cider Vinegar is a fictionalized account of the story of Belle Gibson, who was a health influencer, a nutrition influencer in 2015, or like, the 2010s, I should say, who was building her brand around the fact that she had cured her brain cancer with nutrition. Now, my husband died of brain cancer, and I was a little bit swept up into that world. I was giving him green juices. I was not allowing him to eat sugar. I was, we didn't use a microwave, and I don't blame myself, right? I don't think the green juices hurt anything, but it clearly did not cure brain cancer because that is not what juice can do. That is not what food can do. So Apple Cider Vinegar is a fictionalized version of that story. It's very compelling. It kind of jumps timelines, which some people found confusing, but I actually really, really liked. Scamanda is the story of another woman faking brain cancer. Like, why brain cancer? Pick a cancer that is not so deadly. You're not living 5, 10, 15 years with stage 4 brain cancer. You are not. Like, what is? I'm very interested in like the psychology of what drives a person to fake this kind of illness. A fictitious disorder, otherwise known as Munchausen, is a really controversial diagnosis. And it's also, I don't want to diagnose anybody that I've never met, and also because I'm not any kind of professional in that field. But it's I can see as a person who has gone through therapy and does tend to over empathize with people. I really do. I can see where you are so lonely, you don't have like enough attention, you don't have enough connection, and you don't know how to like form real connections. And you sort of like, I think it's a cry for help, right? Obviously it's a cry for help. And, in both of these cases, like these were white women. So I think that there's something to like how they are believed in like, in a societal, phase. But, okay, we'll get back to this because we have a call. And then if you're watching and you can hear this, please tell me. Hello, it's Nora. Can you hear me? Hi. How's it going? Man, you're my first caller today, so thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay, so what's going on? Tell me, what are we talking about? I was just on a rant about the Ruby Franke documentary, Scamanda, and Apple Cider Vinegar, if you have anything to add to that, or we can just fully switch gears. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. They shouldn't lay off widows. Oh my God, this is okay. I always say, I'm like, oh my God, the portal is connected. Like the portal is open, and that is happening right now because I just got a text from somebody who was laid off twice in 3 months and is like, yeah, and is like, I just, like, help me. Like, I need a pep talk. And no, you should not lay off a widow. You should not lay off a widow. In case you are wondering, you should not lay off a widow. But I think it is so disorienting to lose your job. And it's hard not to take that personally, even though businesses want it both ways, right? It's like, no, we're a family. But then it's like, well, it's just business. And it's like, well, what is it? Like, because I've yet to get fired from my family, and I have been underperforming for a while. Yeah. Oh, and then they're going to be like, also like the salary changed and it's just like not as much. That's okay, right? Yeah. You don't mind. You don't mind. Don't you love like, no, 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 no. I love being, you're right. You're right. I should actually just like take this job and take less pay. How far into widowhood were you when you got uh, laid off, fired, however you want to put it? No. January? Another rehiring? Yeah. And your benefits? Yeah. Without fully blowing up your spot, like what kind of a business is this? Publicly traded? So it's like shareholder value. And it's like, I think it's psychopathic, truly. I think trying to, like, the idea that you have to be providing as a company more and more and more and more value for shareholders who are like, by the way, like not most people like really killing it in this, in the stock market. And I'm going to sound like an idiot. They're not people. Like these are giant businesses, like trading with people's lives and livelihoods. And I just don't see how that is good for the world and the country to have people losing their jobs, losing access to benefits. It's demented that benefits are tied to, like, healthcare is tied to our jobs. Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely, yeah. Yes. Yeah. And it's very, very scary. And like you said, you're widowed. You don't have like, the backup income. You are everything. It is different from single parenting entirely. It is alone parenting, is what my friend Mo and I called it. It's like, I am it. No. Yeah. I don't get a weekend. Yeah. there's no one, there's no one I can, yeah. Yeah, there are no terms and I can't, scramble and say like, "Oh, actually I'm working late. Can you get them?" Yeah. Being a teenager is so weird. It's so weird. It's just the weirdest time of life. It's like, oh man. Yeah. 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 I know. Yeah. 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 It does. It does. It's so exhausting. I think just like modern life is very exhausting and it's sort of just designed to keep us like barely like hanging on in so many ways. And that's if everything's like going well. That's if like you have healthy children and a healthy marriage and, stable employment. It still feels that way and you throw in like one variable like, I mean, you know this, right? Like most Americans don't have $400 like for an emergency and the death of a husband it does cost more than $400. Yeah. Yeah. It's like you realize real quick. You're like, "Oh, we're not like built to help people and support people through these things. Like we are built for something else entirely." Yeah. 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 Also, whenever people are like, I can't imagine, I'm like, you have such a bad imagination. Like, I'm worried about you. If you can't imagine, like, I'm truly, I'm like, what do you do? Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's all I do is imagine things. I imagine, there's nothing I can't imagine. You don't want to imagine, and that's a different, you don't want to. Just say that. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about that because, really, really, okay, so I'm going to make you talk about the Ruby Frankie documentary. Because this woman texted me about it and I said, call me. And she says, I'm a teacher. I'm in class. I'm like, what if I like just called her and I was like, guys, I need everybody. I need everybody to put down your lesson plan for the day. This is actually what we're going to talk about. But okay. Yeah. So did you just watch like the new, like the Devil in the Family documentary, or did you watch the other two? Okay. Yes. Yeah. Which made me so angry. Yeah. I watched the Dateline ones, and I would watch her on YouTube back in the day because I was just like, this is so demented. This is so bizarre. Like even before people started really calling her out. And fun fact, I actually pitched a book about her. I was like, I have a feeling I could get her to like talk to me, and I just want to follow her around and like write a book about what it is to like have an entire a million people following your family. That's more people than watch like most TV shows. So, and I will say, I have good instincts. Okay. So to the editor that was like, this is not a book. Okay. I read Sherry Frankie's book. She did such a beautiful job. And yes, the oldest daughter. And she did such a beautiful job. And I was like, I can't watch this second documentary because she was like, this has got to be the end of it. Like, leave my siblings alone. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm not going to say what happened to them. Like, go read the police report if you're so sick that you need to know exactly how these children were tortured. But then I saw she was in this documentary. So I said, maybe I can watch it. But you brought something up, which is like the dad's point of view. He appeared to have such a lack of empathy for his children. And this woman texted in and said he kept saying what happened to those children and not my children. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, there was something off about him. And, that's easy to say, I guess, because I don't know. I haven't been in that position. I haven't, watched my wife be sentenced to 30 years in prison for pleading guilty to torturing our children. But I really think that he has to, I just can't believe he's getting out of this with like no charges. Yeah. Yeah. No. Oh, fuck. No one can hear the audio. God damn it. How's this happening? Hold on. Sorry. This whole time. Wow. Great. Okay. Thanks for letting me know, guys. I should have looked at the thing 30 minutes ago. Oh, freaking hell. Okay. Hold on. Audio input. Properties. That's why. That's my bad. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, it should be. Do. Okay, you talk a little. Why isn't this working? This is really going to make me crazy. Okay, hold on. This whole time, no one could hear all of this brilliant conversation. Great. Great, great, great. We love it. 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 Voicemail. This is life, baby. This is life. Okay. You guys can't hear this? Hannah, you can't hear this? This is blowing my mind. How did I do this last time? This is... Ooh, how did I do it? Does anybody know? Does anybody know? Let's... Where are the kids? Where are the kids? Okay, hold on. We're going to... Why are they in school? My God. Okay, audio. Okay, let's see if this could work. Nope. Nope. Okay. We're going to delete that. Okay, guys, thank you for being with me while I record literally just myself talking. Oops. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Okay. Why is this not? Oh, boy. Okay, let's see if... Okay, now you talk, and then if somebody in the comments can let me know if you can hear it. Okay, you keep talking. Yeah, I can, but I don't know why no one else can. This is so silly. This is so silly. Why? Why? Okay. Okay. We're gonna try it again. And how did I do this? Hold up. I don't know. Okay. Okay. Now you talk one more time.
Okay. Can you hear anything I'm saying?
I can hear you, but no one can hear you. This is so silly. This is so silly. And we're
Can anyone besides Nora hear me?
Can anyone hear? Why not? Is what I have to say. Like, why not? This whole time? Nothing? This whole time. Okay. Let's restart. No? No, I don't want to do that. No. Wow. Okay. I want to see. Oh, geez, Louise. You can hear her now. Okay. 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 Wow. So I think I'm a genius. Okay. I don't know how I did that, but we're back, and no one knows what we said before. So this is going to be like a real blast for the team to edit later. Good job. What were we talking about? We were talking about Kevin Frankie. We were talking about Ruby
Yes.
Frankie. We were saying we can imagine. I can imagine being...
We are using our imagination.
Here's the thing. I think that he made a lot of excuses for like the cult behavior. Like he blamed it on religious manipulation. And I can understand that for the oldest son. You are a kid who has been, you're going to take what your parents say and what the adults that they trust say at face value. I definitely would have done the same thing, right? But when you are an adult and you see, like, hearing the voice of the man who was like, the kid who went, oh my God, hearing the man who made the 911 call try to keep it together because he was so affected. Even just like they blurred that kid, but you could see that was a skeleton.
skeleton. Yes. How, as a father,
Yeah.
as a parent, how do you, first of all, how do you just walk away and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to move out so that my wife and her side piece can do whatever the hell it is they're doing?
I know.
And then wonder, sorry.
I know.
I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
know
It's
how
like
else to
also
put
the
it.
sexual part was like, it was so like when they,
Insane.
like when she was saying she was possessed, I was like,
Well, oh, okay.
and she's like, oh,
That was
she
some whole
belongs
other
to
shit.
me
That was a
now.
whole nother.
And like, this is why faiths that, make you hate yourself. There's a lot of them out there, right? But, that make you think that the worst thing you could be is gay. Like,
Yeah.
it's so damaging. It's so damaging to people. And I think that, in my opinion, Jodi Hildebrandt was probably never going to be the best person in the world, but she mastered faith manipulation. She grew up in a faith that was
Mastered it.
highly controlling and then learned how to make money on it and then stuffed down the feelings that she had for women. And the only way that she could act on them is to feign possession and be like, I have to sleep in your bed. It's the only way to get the demons out, which like is so sad. It's so, and I don't mean to laugh either, but I was when they showed the videos of her being possessed, I was like.
Also, who was that Ruby that was
I think it was
recording?
Ruby recording it because she was like, the world is going to end. This is like the demons are coming for us. And I'm going to need the evidence to show God. I don't know. Like she's like, I got to keep the receipts. It's like, but we're going to tie together Scamanda,
really
apple cider vinegar, and Ruby Frankie, because I do think that there is a common thread here, which is that it is all kind of like, it's all a scam. It's all a scam. And anything that looks that good on the internet is not real in some way, shape, or form. Like, how chilling was it to watch her record her outtakes and then just like scream at the kids?
Ooh, yes, the snaps. Like she had a switch that went from, let me be cute and nice and funny and whatever the hell she was doing.
Yeah.
And then flipped it on those kids.
Yeah.
How dare you open your mouth while I'm recording? Like, what the hell?
Yeah. I'm like, they live in a house. They live in a house with you. But yeah, I think all of those things were hard to watch. And also, I don't know. It was hard for me to see. I think what Ruby Frankie did is obviously horrifying. It's obviously also deeply illegal, right? But her husband was a part of it. He was a part of it. Like even the parts where she's like screaming at the kids, like, and prioritizing having 1 million followers, all of that stuff. Like he's complicit in all of that. And yes, he was like quote unquote madly in love with her. But also I think that this is what happens when you believe that the highest purpose in your life is to like get married and have kids and recruit people to a faith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's, I'm sure I don't know, mixed feelings about religion and all the weird, strange things that go into it and the history of it. And, the cult or getting people to follow something for some sort of power. It's all, I don't know. It's weird. And I've got a strange religious background anyhow. So
tell me more.
It's hard to, well, okay. So I was raised Catholic.
Same. Yeah.
The father of my oldest children was Jehovah's Witness.
Like active?
And so active.
Wow.
Well, he was not active. We met when I was 6. I think we were 16. So when he was a teenager, he was active. As he became, graduated high school and in his 20s, he was not active. And so that there was that whole weirdness, like, you're supposed to disassociate with, even as a parent, you're supposed to disassociate with your children if they're not active in the church. His parents didn't. his dad sort of, but they also had a very strange relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're not supposed to associate with even your children if they're not in the church. And like there's this whole, I don't even remember what the process was, but you have to go through this process of getting back into the church, and they called it the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
Healthy.
And then when I
Yeah.
my super.
Yeah.
When
Very
I met
healthy.
my husband, he was very just sort of non-denominational Christian. But yeah, so yeah, religion's just an interesting thing all in itself.
Yeah, it is. It is. And
Did they say at the end of
oh,
the Ruby Frankie thing that the
yeah.
husband was possibly, like, that was still pending if he would be charged for anything?
No, I don't think so, but he was he filed for divorce, and
Uh-huh.
you know, I don't know, he spent a lot of time like talking about her, and not a lot of time talking about his responsibility in it. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
I just I just find it like absolutely, because it is bizarre, right? Like this is Jody Hildebrandt's MO was
Very.
like, and your husband's a pervert who's addicted to women because he works with a woman. And so I better move in with you. And you have to massage the demons out of me. But like he was a part of it. Like to move out and to not see or speak
Yeah.
to your children for a year is abandonment. That's neglect. That's not okay. To not know where your kids live,
100%.
like that's
Yes.
weird. That's weird.
That is very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you say, even with being brainwashed or what have you, if you love your children, how do you just walk away and be like, all right, it's one thing to be separated and still have that relationship and conversations and, love your children from afar or part-time or whatever, but to just not have anything is, yeah, very bizarre.
Yeah. It's very weird. It's very weird. Okay. Well, thank you for calling and talking to me about all of this stuff. And sorry that they couldn't hear half of the stuff you said because you were brilliant. You were
That's
brilliant.
okay. I appreciate you. And for fun, yesterday I got something in the mail from Liberty Mutual to my husband, who's been dead for
Of
almost six
course.
years,
Of
that he
course.
could save on life insurance.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Honestly, if they're offering, I would sign them up right now. Okay.
I should give him a call.
It's not fraud if they offered. Okay. Like, okay. So
Right.
I like, and I
Right.
think you should just call and just be like, okay, so he is already dead, but is that going to be a problem
Right.
or?
I think I might call him and just, fuck with
Yeah.
him and see what kind of
Be
answers.
like, thank you so much. She's, God, I actually love getting this. Yeah, there was a period of time where I would like just write, he's dead, like on the envelope
Right.
and send it back. It doesn't go anywhere. They just throw it away. But it's like,
100%. Right. Yeah.
God,
Nobody's
of
going to
course.
do.
It's
Love
like,
it.
and
All
they
right.
spent
Thanks,
money on
Nora.
that
Have a
list
great
too.
day.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, I hope, thank you for letting me know that you couldn't hear it. I'm going to actually look at the chat so I can see that it had like defaulted to like top and there was just one comment from Pete. So I didn't know. So thank you for that. I'm going to try right now. Hopefully like at least one person is watching and you can comment and tell me if you can hear this. Again, we are just trying things out here, and here we go. Hold on. I had a voicemail. Which one? Okay, here we go. I'm going to play it. Hopefully you guys can hear it.
Hi. This is very random that I'm calling you, but I just saw your post on Instagram, and I've just been feeling some sort of way about these text messages I've been sending. So there was a man that I saw. I will say that I just saw him. We didn't really date because he didn't take me anywhere. He simply drove to my house and used me as, whatever, a hookup. But I always had some sort of hope that he was going to one day get his life together and get over his trauma. And then I realized that he's actually just a narcissistic, manipulative, kind of a terrible person, but uses his sad childhood as an excuse for his behavior. And I think because I was in a bad place personally, because my fiance had passed away, and this is actually why I met this guy. This guy was also in rehab, which is a fantastic place to.
Okay, we have listened to this one before. Just kidding. I should have archived it. But yeah, you should. Yeah, they tell you not to meet somebody in rehab. They tell you not to do the 13th step, which is, entering a relationship before you are actually ready to. And, who amongst us who has lived some life has not found herself in now people call it a situationship. I would call it just being in my 20s where, I'm just getting dropped off by a guy. It's not a relationship. He literally would not care if I got hit by a car, probably didn't even know my last name. And I was, like imagining like meeting his mom. Crazy. And also understandable. We, when we're not in a good place, we will accept not good behavior from people who are not in a good place.
Have a connection from is where your fiance who is fighting for his life and, well, he graduated, quote unquote, from rehab, but he did not successfully become sober. And this guy, he gave me the impression, he didn't even reach out to me except for to send his condolences for about a year. Dan, my fiance, had actually mentioned him as being very, very attractive. He loved him. He called him, he would call their little talks at night pillow talk. He gave me a very comforting, he said this guy was the only basically person that had his life together. He just got caught up in drugs. So I felt like I had this comforting, wow, what a full circle. He knew Dan, he loved Dan.
Yeah, this is beautiful. And also it would feel very full circle to anybody. And I also, for anybody who is, rushing to judgment to say, oh, you shouldn't date your dead fiance's friend, it's actually very common. It's actually more common than you think. You fall in love with the people who loved the person you loved, their brother, their friends, whoever. Unfortunately for me, Aaron only had a sister who was happily married, and most of his single friends were gay.
He would never hurt me. I had just, put myself in this la-la land. When I was really just, as they call it, dickmatized. He's beautiful. He's got a six-pack.
Yeah, I do. I remember this voice memo. Anyways, she starts he breaks her heart and she sends him mean text messages. And I am not going to judge you for that because I have done that too. One time somebody broke up with me and we hadn't talked first of all, we'd only been on 2 dates. And then he followed up. He called me. It was a fadeaway, right? I hadn't called him. He hadn't called me. It was just gone. And then he called me and was to break up with me. And I said, you can't break up with me. I was going to break up with you. That really showed him. Nothing shows somebody that you don't care, texting them mean things or saying, you can't break up with me. I was going to break up with you. You can't break up with me. You weren't my boyfriend. So you actually can't break up with me. This does not affect me. Obviously, it affected me. It really hurt my feelings. I remember the call. I remember where I was. I remember just being oh, God. Because I was so excited to see his name on my phone because he was calling to break up with me, which I'd already figured that out. I already figured out he wasn't going to be my boyfriend. I did not need the verbal confirmation many, many, many weeks after we had parted ways. I figured that out. I put that together. So okay. All right, I'm going to check the texts. You guys can call me. We're going to see if it works. You can call me. We can talk about Ruby Frankie. We could talk about, I really want to talk about people's jobs. I wonder what people do all day. In the Richard Scarry book universe, it was mailman, bricklayer, housewife, postman, all things that our current world is trying to make sure it never happens. You can never make a living just having a regular job anymore. And I just wonder what people do all day because I really thought we'd be driving around in little pickle cars, picking up our little pig family to take him to the beach. And, when Pa got home from work, Ma Pig would have a beautiful dinner cooking. And I did make dinner on Sunday. I roasted a chicken using Ina Garten's recipe. And I will be riding high on that for a long time. I really will be. So, all right. I'm actually going to make a call and see if that works. Oh boy. Am I doing this right?
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available.
Great. Thanks a bunch. As I just sit here with like my mouth open, and you can hear, yay.
Your call has been forwarded to voice.
Great. Okay. Thanks for nothing. Thanks for nothing. Okay. I'm just looking through our texts. You might think the screen is frozen. That's just how I think, with my mouth fully open. Oh man, okay, I did get some funny texts. I had asked people like a long time ago to tell me the things that still make them laugh, even though it happened so long ago, and it's kind of like an inside joke and nobody else would get it. And I got some really funny ones that I'm going to share with you, but first I'm going to share one, which is, for some reason, this still makes me laugh. Honestly, it makes me laugh because it's still funny. At my school growing up, I went to a Catholic school, and mostly like we had a creative arts teacher, and that's who we like sang with and performed with. And, she was like a hippie with a guitar, and, she would just strum along, and we'd sing like songs from like the Free to Be album. And it wasn't about like singing well, like we never learned like musical scales or anything. But then every once in a while, I think like the church would get like a bee in their bonnet, and we would have to go over to the church and sing with like the musical director at the church. And he was this, guy who obviously like played music and read music, and we were not. And he was trying to get us to sing like on key, right? Or in a key, in any key, and make a joyful noise unto the Lord. And he said, I sing down here, you sing up here. I am a man, you are a child. And even as a kid, I knew that was so funny. Even as a kid, I thought that was like the funniest thing in the world. And I still say that. I say that several times a week. I say it to my kids. I say it to my friends. Anytime that something is just like not going, anytime I will say it in any context. And then I will share the story with somebody. And if they don't think that's funny, then I know that they're not funny, because that is objectively funny. Okay, so this is like a funny story from somebody else. Something that still makes me chuckle after nearly 30 years. A new student joined my 5th grade class mid-year. Pauline was from France, had impeccable style and a perfectly precise bob haircut that curled at her ears, and spoke nearly no English. A group of us were sitting at a round table working on a paper craft, and Pauline left for a moment. When she returned, another kid, Patrick, had taken her seat. Pauline stood behind him, eyes narrowed, arms crossed. When Patrick briefly stood up to reach for something, Pauline swiped his chair to the side with a flourish, elegantly settled into it, and nonchalantly resumed trimming her paper snowflake. Patrick, who had noticed nothing, went to sit back down and landed in a heap on the floor. From under the table came a dry, "Comfortable, Pauline?" Kids are so funny. Like, kids are so funny. Truly, some of the funniest things that I can ever think of were little moments of wit like that from childhood. Like, kids are very sharp. They really understand comedy, and I would laugh about that forever. Okay. I don't know what this one was about, so we're going into this one blind. I have to tell you about the time my friend and coworker Danny had his lunch stolen. We work at a university wellness center, and for the longest time, our waiting room was open without any badge swiping. I love it. I love it. We lived in such a non-secure era. You know, anyone could come to my high school. Anyone could come to my college. Like, there was a guy around my college. He had, developmental delay, and he was like a super fan of the college. He was probably like in his 40s, and he would just come into classes. He would come into the lunchroom. Everybody knew him. Everybody welcomed him. But like, I just don't think that's happening in 2025. Okay. But back to this university wellness center that does not have badges. To get into the waiting room, you go into a hallway, which leads to our staff kitchen where we store our lunches. Some rando from off the street came in and took Danny's lunch along with another coworker's groceries. Before realizing his lunch was stolen by someone off the street, Danny sent an all-staff email. Of course he did. He sent an all-staff email. "Hello all. This is a bit of a strange email for me to have to send, but my lunch and the green plastic container that it was brought in has gone missing from the break room fridge. I placed it inside the fridge in the plastic drawer on the bottom shelf on the left side. Unfortunately, what this means is that I have to go purchase a lunch as I have no lunch to eat. If you happen to see it, please let me know." Danny asks us not to bring this up anymore because we still are brought to tears when we think about this. When you send an all-staff email, first of all, there is nothing more serious in office culture than eating somebody's lunch, moving somebody's lunch, just the perception that you have affected somebody else's meal. Meal etiquette in the office, being very careful about what you microwave, right? People who microwaved popcorn were looked down upon. People who microwaved fish, obviously, that's sociopathy. But the idea that you ate somebody else's lunch, and it merits an all-staff email. It merits a passive-aggressive email saying, if you saw this lunch, please let me know. Like, oh yeah, I did see that lunch. I saw it being stolen by somebody who walked in off the street who honestly, obviously needed that lunch and those groceries and got their needs met. And if we had a culture where needs were met, we wouldn't have lunches stolen, Danny. But Danny, I would have done that too. And I would have felt very righteous. And then when it was pointed out to me, I would not have a sense of humor about it. I would not be able to laugh at myself. I really wouldn't. I would not. Okay. Okay. Way back when I was in my last semester of college, I met my best friend and first after college roommate while waiting tables. We met because it was her first day and she was so hungover, and I asked her if she wanted me to stay. She was the closing girl, automatic besties. The way that you can form a friendship when you are young and hungover and wild and free is so beautiful. Like, Female friendship is so beautiful, and the way that it can just blossom from a hangover at a restaurant is truly it's poetic. Anyway, we worked with another girl who was wound so tight it was hard to understand until she confided in me the reason. She tells me the reason, and I go up to my new bestie to say, "We are having wine after work. I have something to tell you." When my best friend says, "Can I call you?" or "I have something to tell you," I am so locked in. It's clickbait in real life form to me. If you tell me, "I got to call you," I know I'm settling in. I'm curled up in bed. I'm just ready. I am ready for that conversation. Okay. Whew. So we get some wine and we're sitting on the floor of her mom's living room. Beautiful, beautiful memory. And I tell her she's wound that way because she needs surgery. Because her a-hole is too tight. I know it's not funny because it's surgery, but we lost it. Rolling on the floor, spilling wine, crying. It all made sense. Still makes us crack up all these years later. Still besties, friends for almost 40 years. You are in your 60s, you're still laughing because you worked with a girl who was wound too tight, and it was literally because of her a-hole. Like, I get it. I would laugh so hard too. It's not funny, but like, it's funny. Okay. We're not laughing that she needs surgery. We're not laughing at her medical problem. We're laughing because like it really, it all adds up. It all adds up. Oh God. Oh God. Okay. If you're new here or if you're listening, this is Thanks for Asking. It is a call-in show, and I'm getting insecure that nobody answered the phone when I called. What does it mean? I don't know. But you can call and talk about anything. People text me about anything, and I'm proving that by reading these text messages. Okay. 2 memories that still crack me up. When my 2 older brothers were in their awkward preteen years, one of them got a camcorder and they started recording sketch comedy that my brother Seth wrote. I love it. This was such a pure time. Getting a camcorder, there's sketch comedy in a basement in Minneapolis somewhere on VHS that my friends and I did. And I think it was good. One hilarious one, they dressed up in my dad's old army uniforms and played a general interrogating a kamikaze pilot who had too many failed missions. The reasons kept getting more and more ridiculous, but the only time I remember is headband too tight, sir. Headband too tight, sir. And my family and I still belly laugh together when we try to remember the lines. We lost Seth in a car accident in 1997 and Amos to MS in 2014, and the laughter helps keep their memory alive. It really does. It really does. Like, just, yes, like laughing at the things that made them laugh and still cracking up at the things that they did that make you laugh. It does keep them alive. And that is something I will remember. Headband too tight, sir. That's very funny. That's very funny. I still laugh at like a poem that my crush wrote in middle school, and I still have it memorized. It's "Table, oh table, you are so unstable. I fell off of you and now I'm disabled." Like, the assignment was write a poem, and he did. And I was like, I'm in love with you. Okay. Whew. All right. I have a call. Hello, this is Nora.
Oh, hey, Nora.
Hi.
Oh, this is Patrick.
Hi, Patrick. I don't have caller ID on this phone number, so I knew the second I heard your voice, but, geez Louise. Oh, we got a cord problem. Oh, boy. Okay. But I knew when I heard your voice. How are you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing okay. I'm just killing time while working right now.
Good. I want to see more people like wasting employer time, like really like waste their time the way they've wasted yours throughout the years is what I say. So Patrick, I have a question for you. Actually, Patrick is a hot young widow who actually married another hot young widow at a widow wedding. That is why I have my little ghost tattoo. But You were
All
having
true.
trouble like getting into your dead wife's Google account.
Yes, actually, yeah, and I think I had some update. Well, not about the Google account
Yeah.
updates, but about my dead wife's media and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I basically like for a long time I knew her passwords and stuff like that because she always basically had the same two passwords.
My kind of girl.
So anyway, like yeah, about a year or so ago, because I'd occasionally just open her Google account just to basically see like what emails or text messages she might have gotten in the last year.
Yeah.
And it's usually all spam from like what she was, I guess, was on like a lot of lists for recruiters and stuff like that. But about a year ago, I got locked out, and I could not get back in because the recovery phone number she provided was the phone number through her Google Voice account, which I need access to the Google account to be able to access. If that makes sense.
Yes, of course.
So
Yeah.
basically, I couldn't actually get to the recovery
Yeah.
phone. So yeah, so that was a thing, and so
there's
I
like no
basically
one,
have
there's
lost.
never a person who can like help you either. It's like one of the biggest
No.
companies in the world. You cannot get to a person. You can't get to a person. So if anybody from Google sees this, like we need to get into Laura's account. Like there are pieces of Laura in that Google account and we want them.
Yes, and there's probably a bunch of photos in there. I'm sure all her emails, texts, voicemails, and then probably also, well, I think I've also probably lost a lot of her music, like anything that was digital, because all of that was on like in one of the Google Music services that has since changed 2 or 3 times, and they basically, if you didn't transfer it, they deleted everything. So
Great.
I'm kind of shooting the luck there.
Yeah.
Because I think there was a playlist that I played like at her memorial that would have been in one of those. But all of that is now gone. But yeah, I also decided about I think the week while I was also killing time working, I decided to just basically turn her phone on and see, because I had never actually looked at any of the files that were just stored on the phone.
Yeah.
Photos and stuff like that. So I was able to get into the phone, and there were a bunch of photos. Nothing really nothing huge. I think there was like one picture of there was actually, oddly, the first picture on there was a restaurant we went to in Atlantic City. Michael Simon's Angeline. I think you may have heard of. He's like he's like a TV chef.
No, I have heard of like very few restaurants. Like
it's okay. But he's a TV chef and has an Italian restaurant in Atlantic City that we went to that was pretty good. And actually, very oddly enough, my current wife is now, to help with her like gut health, is using a cookbook written by Michael Simon, by the same chef.
Okay.
But I had no idea before that he was one of Laura's favorite chefs.
Oh my God.
Coincidence, stumbled upon, found it. I think just recommended from a friend or something like that. But yeah, the one thing that I found. So I found some photos. I just opened her phone up, turned her phone back on just to see what there was. But there's some photos, and there were some of me and the dogs and stuff like that at our apartment. We really didn't do a whole lot in her last year or so of life, unfortunately. But the really weird thing I found, I texted you about this, was there are about 3 hours of voice memo recordings.
Yeah. Oh, and you got to hear her voice.
That are basically her. It sounds like her and her mom having some disagreements, or I guess, yeah, just talking and not always agreeing with each other while they're talking.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like, and
so
it's like
yeah.
hearing the voice too. It's like I was scrolling yesterday, and one of Aaron's high school friends posted like a video of their band practice from high school, and he had posted it maybe on like Friday. But I just saw it and it like truly like took my breath away. It just like just to hear like his voice, like just see him and like just so alive, and it's so strange to have something that like that captured, and it's like a good kind of pain, but it like really like hurt, and I just wanted more, you know what I mean? Which is also like we have, you know, we like did you see they're talking a lot about like AI companions now? It's going to be like a multi-billion-dollar industry. And this channel that I watch like every day, Dave Neal, was, you know, he had shared like some TikTok about it that I'll have to go find. What a great story, Nora. But, you know, I interviewed that man who was a widow who had made an AI of his dead wife and, you know, understood, right? He's like, I know it's not her, right? I know it's not her. And it's also a tool that's helping me right now, which I understand. And I am very like kind of fearful for a world where instead of addressing like root causes of like loneliness, instead of like treating grief like the important like life passage and life change that it is, we're just going to monetize it and be like, oh, well, if you're lonely, like here, just like pretend to have a best friend who's actually just an AI. Like it's so dystopian to me.
Yeah.
Like, do you think you could talk to an AI Laura? Like, what do you think that would do to you?
I don't think I would like. I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
I just don't know if, like, I know at the end of the day that it's not real.
Yeah.
And like unless it's her actually coming back to life and like me being like, hey, I got a wife. What you doing here?
Yeah.
like no, I kind like I don't, because I don't want to have that. I almost feel like it would just re-intensify the loss.
Yeah.
Because I'll know even more like what I don't have anymore.
And in those immediate like weeks afterwards, like I think that I would have been fully like pulled into it. And I don't think it would have been good for me psychologically.
Oh yeah. No, if there was, if I had AI Laura, like it would have, I think would have, it wouldn't have let my emotions it wouldn't have let me move forward.
Yeah, it wouldn't have. No, I would have been like, I would have been, I mean, I already in those first weeks was on my phone constantly, like just looking at pictures, looking at videos. And if I could have heard his voice, I would have been fully sucked into that. And I don't think I would have been able to find my way out. So I hope, I hope that if somebody from Google is listening, they can help you get into that, because it's like another kind of loss. It's another kind of loss.
Yeah, like to lose their digital, like the basically the digital version of your.
Yeah, it's like it's an archive of them. It's like opening, it's like finding a shoebox somewhere, right? It's like I wouldn't throw away the shoebox unless I knew what was in it, and it's like a digital shoebox. I need to know what's in it so I know if it's something that I need or want or has some kind of importance or not. And just to not be able to open it is just so enraging and sad. It really makes me sad.
I still stumble upon things, like I'll be going through things and find like just a book of CDs that were apparently hers.
Yeah.
And just like music CDs and like software and stuff like that. But it's like I still like having some like physical connections.
Yeah.
Be it photos or memorabilia, or things or stuff like that. And it's just it's hard to to lose those things.
It really is. It really is.
Because there's no more like, you don't really have a physical, like you back in the day, you'd have like a scrapbook or a photo album, and people don't really have those anymore.
I know we've got our numerous email accounts and like live journals and all of that, and like who knows, like we're all stored on a server somewhere. So Patrick, thank you for calling.
Right.
You're the greatest.
Yes,
I'm so glad. I love hearing your voice. I love hearing your voice. And if you are a widow, fresh or otherwise, any kind of widow, go to clubwid.com. Yes. Club Wid. Patrick is one of the widows that took over the Hot Young Widows Club, reimagined it. It is now Club Wid, which I think is so funny and so smart. And peer support is truly like transformative. I don't think I would have survived without it. So go over to Club Wid if you are a widow. They've got you.
Oh, thank you for the plug.
Yeah, always. Okay. Love you, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you. Bye.
All right. I love Patrick. And I also like, we're all kind of going through the same stuff. Like, and if you're not going through that yet, you will be eventually. And there's you can plan for it all you want. Like you can plan for a death. You can plan for, what you will do with all of your data, but there will always be something that falls through the cracks. And like, we just need a way to, I don't know, to like figure out what that means, like to work around it. Okay. Let's see if, can you guys hear this ring? Okay. Good.
Hello.
Hi, is this Matthew?
Who's this?
I am calling about your long-term car warranty.
Okay.
It's your wife, you dope.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. Oh man. Shucks. Thought I was gonna ask for your social security number. I was just wondering if I was in prison for 30 years for abusing our children because I thought that they were possessed by demons because I had joined a cult run by a repressed lesbian who also pretended to be possessed and then had you move out of the house so that she could share a bed with me because I was the only person who could get her demons out. And then I pled guilty. Would you make a documentary where you said you were still madly in love with me?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. Okay. Like, even, would you say like you were still a little bit in love with me?
Probably not.
Okay.
That probably is that's probably a deal breaker.
I would agree. I did watch the Ruby Frankie documentary at the studio without you. And now I need you to watch it so we can discuss separately, but it's wild. It is wild. And her husband is just kind of like, well, yeah, he kept saying too, like somebody texted in and was like, oh, he kept referring to them as like those children, not like my children. He had moved out for a year. He had not seen or heard from his children for a year.
What's wrong with that dude?
I don't know. But I mean, it's like, it does kind of to me show like how like religion can be used to like faith manipulation is very real. And it is like a slippery slope from that to like full on cults. Like from, full on, you're moving out. My life coach is moving in and we're, sharing a bed and you don't get to see the kids for a year until you like prove yourself worthy. I can't help but think that like that takes a certain kind of woman. And I don't think I have that kind of power.
Sorry, I don't think so.
I don't think I could do that to you. I think you would.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think you'd push back.
I think you could do that to the right person. I just don't think I'm the right person.
You're not the right person. You're not the right person. But I think that if I had met you when you were 21 and I was 18 and being married was like our number one priority to like get into heaven and have a bunch of kids and like then I think I could. then I think I would have like that kind of raw
probably
power.
You got to me too late.
I'm not saying I would do it, but I'm saying like there are women who just have that like kind of power over men. I don't. Like, you know, I just don't. I don't. I asked you if you would grow.
I mean, to be fair, if I go ahead.
Thank you. I asked you if you would grow out your hair for me if I was dying of cancer, and you said no.
That's true.
Like, one wish. I have one dying wish, which is see you with long hair because your hair is so shiny and like wavy and beautiful and like curls and is like jet black. And you said no. I find that disturbing.
I think I said it would take too long.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get to enjoy it.
Then I said, what if I had 2 years to live? And you said no. And you can grow your hair out in 2 years.
Are you recording this for the podcast?
It's a one-party consent state.
So yes.
Yeah, I am. No one's watching. We're cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's
Great,
13 people watching who now know the truth about you, which is that you are a monster who would not, if I was dying of cancer and I had one wish, which was to see my husband with long hair, you wouldn't do it. And now you've been exposed. How about that?
Yeah, I'm a monster.
But they also know that if I abused our children, you would not be on a documentary talking about how I like lit up a room.
Yeah, that's also true. And right now I'm in the middle of ironing napkins, so I do have that going for me.
Yeah, I love that you do that. I really do. And I love that now we're using napkins as a family instead of
napkin singular.
Our family's grossest trait, one of them, because I'm the grossest of our family, is we don't use paper towels. We're better than everybody. We're so environmental. But we have cloth napkins, but like we'll like set the table, we'll sit down to eat, and we'll put like a napkin in the middle of the table. Then everyone will just reach in and go, just touch a little corner of it. Just
my turn.
And we forget that that's gross and weird. And then someone else comes over and I see them look at the napkin. And I'm like, we need more napkins. Everyone needs their own. Everyone needs their own napkin because that's what we always do. That's how we always do it. Okay. We literally always do that. So thank you for ironing those napkins. They're beautiful and they're elegant. And it's like
one for everyone.
Oh God, dude, I've been sitting. My reflexes, Matthew.
You just almost fell.
When my reflexes, I crunched a can of water under my armpit to save the computer, the brand new computer. So.
Good job.
Because I'm sitting cross-legged with a pillow and then the laptop on the pillow. Anyways, I gotta go. You're not giving me any good tales. But
no,
next time, try to bring a little pizzazz to the conversation if you wouldn't mind.
I'll work on it.
Thank you.
I'll work on it.
Thank you. And again, your name is Matthew. We are married, and you would not grow your hair out.
Would not.
If I had.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say stay with me if you would.
Oh, and you wouldn't stay with me if I abused our children. And you would not participate in a documentary about me, would you? I don't know. Maybe you would.
Yeah, probably, but I wouldn't be professing my love for you on it.
No, you'd be like, and I always knew that.
Yeah, I was like, and she tricked me. And she is bad.
She's bad. She's a bad mom. I feel comfortable saying this. You're a bad mom. Okay? You're a bad mom, Ruby Frankie. But also, it's like, I think, and I mentioned this to you, and I know you have napkins to iron, but I think like it's kind of, I mean, a lot of people endure faith manipulation and don't abuse their children, right? A lot of people like are part of like the same faith system and don't have those extreme views. And a lot of people, also have children who shouldn't have children. Like, I think that we, think of like having kids as like a milestone or, like a sort of pathway into adulthood, or we think about having kids as something to like check off our list or something that we want for ourselves. And I really don't think that people fully comprehend like the depth of what it means to become a parent. Like, that's a whole person that you have called into the world,
They don't understand until it's way too late.
Until it's way too late. And you're like, that is a sacred thing to do. It's a wild thing to do, and you can just do it. No one can tell you that you can't, like anyone who it pretty much can just like decide they want to be a parent and become a parent. And like, that's a big deal. And I don't know. I think she was never going to be like a healthy mom, but I also think like, spitting out kid after kid after kid, starting when you're like 21 is it's probably hard to like maintain some kind of mental health. But then again, my grandparents didn't,
it's probably pretty hard.
My grandparents had, a whole bunch of kids, and they weren't locking them in a basement and rubbing literal cayenne pepper into their wounds. Yeah, I honestly, I think the documentary is like a little too disturbing for you. I think you're a little too sensitive to watch it. But why don't you get back to
probably
to ironing the napkins?
My chores.
Tell the kids I said hello. Tell Sophie I will meet her at Goodwill. And is Ralph going to come?
I don't know. I can ask him.
Yeah, go ask him. And then
can
text
ask
me.
him.
Okay, I got to wrap this up. But thanks for answering the phone after 3 phone calls.
Anytime.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. That was my husband. He was tricked into participating, and I think that is a fine thing to do. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm Nora McInerny. This is Thanks for Asking. This is a call-in show. I might need to like rethink the time that we're doing this, because who knows when people actually have like time to talk on the phone. A lot of you are taking work way too seriously if you can't just make a phone call in the middle of a day to a complete stranger and spill your guts. Also, you can always send a text. I got some good texts that we started off the conversation with today. So if you need to unburden yourself of something, if you just have like a random thought that you want to share, send me a text. I will get to it on Friday. I will be back here on Friday, same time-ish, I think. Same time-ish, probably on Friday. And I really do want to hear like about what you do for work. Like, what do you do for work? Call me from work. I want to know that. But that's the phone number, 612-568-4441. And our email is thanks@feelingsand.co. We have a audio only podcast that is up on wherever you hear like podcasts, but the full versions of everything with like full video and all of that is at my Substack, which is noraborealis.substack.com, which I believe is listed in the episode description. This is an independent form of media, and I have been really, really lucky to be able to do this and to reimagine it as well. Question from Hugo. The name of the website for widows that Patrick runs is called Club WID, CLUB, WID. And it's international. So you're from the UK, you're welcome to join Club WID. It's a great peer support network. And they have people all over the world. So you're going to meet widows from all over, and you're going to have like widow friends from all over, which is really, really incredible. But you can find us on Substack. I am here. I am on Instagram. If you are one of the baker's dozen people watching this live, thank you for letting me just like test something out. 2025 is the year of just trying stuff and like having fun and like realizing we're all going to die someday, and it's very low stakes. And yeah, you can like subscribe and like and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to see if maybe I can get this edited down. We will see. Probably not. And I am going to go hang out with my kids. It's their spring break and life is short. And I am going to step away from my work and go thrift with them and hopefully find some treasures that I will share on the Substack. My friend Caroline and I do something called Tales from the Thrift, where we share our thrift stuff. I also recorded a thrift haul yesterday. This place is also just a series of piles right now. I do have to get the piles under control, but that is something